We had a great presentation from Tom Santulli, who's the Chemung County Executive. I think you all should talk to Tom Santulli because Chemung County has actually anticipated the prospect of hydrofracking, and they have taken a lot of proactive steps to figure out what the impacts will be across the board at the local level, from emergency services, transportation impacts, and they've been planning. They've pulled the towns together. They actually have assumed responsibility for these traffic impact agreements. They have been just incredibly progressive, and it was it was a great uplifting meeting in a way because it was good to see that a county executive has been proactive on something that he sees potentially coming down the road, and he didn't say it's going to happen or it's not going to happen, but if it happens, we're going to be prepared. They've actually put county resources into it. They spent about $150,000 studying the traffic or road infrastructure in one town in Chemung County, and that's going to hopefully be used as a model to help inform these road use agreements going forward if they become necessary. So that was terrific. We had Ecology and Environment, who was our consultant, describe the socioeconomic impacts that are in our supplemental generic environmental impact statement, and then they answered questions about what assumptions they used, how they came up with the numbers they did, and we had a terrific informative meeting.
Are other counties that could be impacted by hydrofracking, are they in a similar position, or should they be catching up to where you see Chemung?
I think Chemung is probably ahead of the game. Tioga County started a process. In fact, Tom Santulli, the county executive, said that they kind of took their lead from Tioga. Tioga started a advisory committee of some sort on the county level, but Tom has taken it to another level. He has actually pulled in a whole slew of his county officials and gotten representatives and actually formed a commission that helps inform him on the issue. So I'd say they are leading the pack at this point. Other counties, I think, have a lot to learn, and I think that's hopefully something that'll come out of this process is that the process they've been through and the materials they've developed can be shared with other counties and help bring them up to the same level that Chemung is at.
Is the advisory committee going to have its report done by November 1st?
We are looking at, this is a little bit of a change in plans. We are looking at, this is what I heard from the panel in the past, is that you can't separate out state issues from local issues. The plan was to look at state resource needs first, try to use that to help inform the budget process, and then do the local later. The two were very much intertwined, and that's why we asked the Chemung County Executive come in and talk to us, and E&E to come in and talk about the local impacts, because the two are very intertwined. So we're asking the committee, the advisory panel, to look at both issues simultaneously, come up with one report, one recommendation, which we hope they will have sometime next year. There's no firm timetable. We're going to be informed by them what they need, and I guess that's the story.
Do you anticipate DOH, the Public Service Commission, some of the other agencies that are affected by this, do you anticipate them giving detailed recommendations of what kind of staffing levels they need?
Eventually, they will. I can't tell you, when we've obviously had lots of discussions with other state agencies, and one of the things, again, that the panel has stressed is, and this, I think, comes from some of the industry representatives, is that they want to make sure there's not duplication, that the review process when applicants come in is not redundant in any way, that we have, a team that reviews it in a very efficient way. So when we started talking to the other agencies, I think it was a little too much in a silo approach. Everybody looked at their own individual responsibilities. We want to make sure we have a very coordinated state program when it goes forward.
So how is this going to affect the budget, though? Because they're starting to put the budget numbers together. Wouldn't they need to kind of know how much this is going to cost the agencies?
As I said, the panel will make its recommendations to us, on their schedule.
Yeah.
It's unlikely, I would say, that there will be a budget included in the executive budget at this point. It's just premature to ask them for a recommendation when they aren't ready to make one.
So will the state still be on track, though, with all the other stuff, the SGIS and all the other stuff,
Well,
regulations?
sure, this
And-
is-
Aren't they all kind of related?
They are all related. And remember, the SGIS, the comment period will close on December 12th, and it's going to take us months to review the comments. We already have nearly 2,000 comments, and we expect thousands more literally before the end of the comment period. So, that's going to push us out beyond the budget in any event, just the review of that, and to finalize the SGIS. So, all of these things are going on simultaneously. I always hesitate to say it's going to be done by a certain date because there's too many unknowns here. We're going to get thousands of comments. We got thousands of comments last time, which we're still in the process of reviewing and assembling for the final SGIS when we put that out next year.
But if the panel's recommendations aren't done by the governor's executive budget by the time that's released, does that push the process back?
It could. I'd say it could. If their recommendations came out in February or March, would that be time enough for the legislature to include it in the budget? I would say maybe. But that's in part up to the legislature, so you'd have to talk to them at the time when the recommendations come out. But the answer is it could. It could push it out beyond the April 1 deadline for this state budget.
All this being said, what do you think the odds are of drilling permits being issued in 2012?
It is really hard to predict, Brian. We have a lot of work left to do. Sometimes I forget, how much work went into the process after the last round of a draft EIS, and we're going to have another draft, not another draft. We're going to have a final draft done, hopefully sometime early next year, and when we're ready and when we have a very firm set of recommendations from the panel, we'll figure out how to move forward from there.
There's been some calls for the public comment period to be extended. Is there any chance of that happening?
I will never say never. We think that the public has had a lot of time. It's had 150 days, or will have had 150 days for the bulk of the SGIS. But these requests don't fall on deaf ears. We're considering every comment and request we get on this topic. So.
Time for one more.
DEC has said in the past that you're looking at sometime in 2012. Have you softened that a little bit? It kind of seems like you have.
No, all we've softened, John, is that we're asking the panel to use all the time it needs to give us the proper recommendations. The panel was not ready to give us recommendations for the need for state resources in November. So I think everyone on the panel seemed comfortable in the meeting that they needed more time, that we should look at state and local issues together and not try to isolate one and then do the next. So that's what we've done.
Is it the panel or the agencies? Because if they don't have the numbers, then they can't do it.
That's true, but I think the panel is what has been telling us these are the things we're concerned about. We want to hear about the local issues. We don't want to hear just about state resources. And frankly, when we put out the DEC's resources, which I think many of you have written on, we said that is a draft. We're still looking at how we're going to run this process internally. We haven't ironed out all of how our water division is going to work with our mineral division, and this panel made very clear to us that they want to see this done very efficiently. They don't want to see duplication. They don't want to see one team go out for a site visit only to have another division in DEC go out for another site visit. So we're working out those kind of details.
Just to be clear, now you're looking for one report from this panel rather than two?
Yes.
Okay.
All right, that's all we have time for, guys.
Sure.